Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind Podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Wednesday. It's March 1st. Good month. March is a good month. We have a 9-game NBA slate to talk about here on today's podcast, joined today by my buddy Keith Eys819. Keith, what's happening, my friend?
Not too much. March is a good month. Was someone born in March or something? Is that?
Yeah. That's why it's
That's what I thought. Yeah. We also got baseball spring training, which is something I love and enjoy taking in down here in Arizona. So good time of the year. I don't disagree with you, but I'm doing well. Tuesday night, interesting NBA slate. We've got Anthony Davis and John Morant kind of did their thing. Clint Capella playing. We were talking about this pre-show a little bit. Clint Capella seeing 35 minutes under the new head coach. So that's a situation to take in and think about going forward for sure.
Yeah, I got that situation wrong on yesterday's podcast. Always okay with admitting when I'm wrong. I don't try to sugarcoat anything. I like the fact that Bay still played 27 minutes, but I didn't see the 35 minutes coming from Capella. I thought at most 28 minutes, so totally missed that one. He had a really good game. I think he ended up with like 45 plus fantasy points. So, I mean, that's super encouraging to see. And I mean, he should be playing 30 plus minutes a night. We've been saying this all season. So I thought that was really good to see. And then, I mean, just a mental note of like, Dinwiddie hasn't done anything in like 2 weeks, and he had a monster game finally. And it was points, rebounds, assists. It was one of his most active games. So just kind of paying attention to Brooklyn. I mean, I still don't love the idea of playing Brooklyn, and we're going to talk about them because, I mean, every team in the NBA is on a back-to-back tonight. Today, whenever you're listening to the podcast. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's just kind of good to note what we're continuing to see for Brooklyn. But I will just continue to say I don't think anything's going to be consistent when it comes to Brooklyn. I think that Brooklyn doesn't know what Brooklyn wants to do. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you're looking at this team. So
Mikal Bridges continues to get his shots up, though. That's it.
Yeah.
He seems to be taking on kind of the lead role there. Very interesting stuff.
Chucking. We call it chucking around here, Keith. We call it chucking.
Yep.
We get buckets and we chuck. Too many and one tapes when I was growing up. Showing my gray hair. All right. We got 9 games. Yeah, let's jump right in. Like I said, we have a lot of back-to-backs, so we're not going to have a ton of lines out. We're not going to have a ton of injury lines to talk about, but we'll do the best we can to get you all prepped for the day. And at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. We're a First Look podcast. We appreciate all the support each and every day, and I hope you just have a great day. With Phoenix at Charlotte, 232.5 total in this one. Suns a 10-point favorite, probably not high enough. Durant probable. Shamet out. PJ Washington doubtful. Cody Martin out. And LaMelo Ball out. Hate to see that for LaMelo Ball. We'll go Phoenix first. I mean, this is going to be the first sample size that we're going to have of Durant playing here with this team. I mean, Booker, Durant, Ayton, Chris Paul, they're all over 7,900. The price tags are up there. We have to kind of think that Durant's going to cut into Booker's usage a little bit. And like Booker's already not putting up like these 50-point plus fantasy games. So I think this is one of those games I might just leave Phoenix on the shelf. If I'm playing anybody from Phoenix, it's probably Ayton because Charlotte can't stop anybody. I worry about this game staying close. And I just worry about the price tags overall. This might be one of those situations where I'm looking on like Prize Picks or something like that, where I'm looking at like first half like props for someone like Ayton and just getting ahead of the game if this game does get out of hand. What are your thoughts here on Phoenix?
Yeah, super interesting situation. I mean, we just kind of talked about it with Brooklyn. A very new situation that we haven't seen before with the debut of KD. So should be really fun to watch, but we don't know exactly what that's going to look like. It probably means guys like Booker in particular, Ayton a little bit, are overpriced. But this is a fantastic matchup. So like if they're coming in super low owned, I don't hate taking a couple shots on KD or Booker as well. I don't see a way that Chris Paul has much of a scoring role here. He's going to pretty much sit back and be the distributor of this offense and kind of yield to guys like Durant and Booker and Ayton. So definitely leaving Paul on the shelf, but I don't mind some shots on Booker or KD too. Agree with you. There is some blowout risk here, but if Charlotte is able to keep it close, it should be a fantastic game environment. I think Booker's still playable 8,900. Love the call on the first half props for Ayton. I think that's a really sharp way to play this. Like his scoring prop probably comes down with KD in the fold now, but we've seen him get off early in a lot of games and should definitely be close enough in the first half where he sees his normal run. But yeah, DFS wise, it's nothing more than large field tournaments plays here. Even though it's a great matchup against Charlotte, it's just this new situation has the pricing a little bit out of whack.
Yeah, I mean, Ayton first half stuff, I think I'd be looking at point rebound, like points plus rebounds. I think that's where I'll look for Ayton's like first half props. Charlotte side, I mean, Terry Rozier is too cheap. He's 7,200. He's just too cheap. It's a tough matchup. The game potentially doesn't stay close, but no LaMelo Ball. I think you have to look at Rozier. I think you have to look at Gordon Hayward. Hayward, his usage has been up here recently. He's been playing really good. He's been shooting a lot, like over 14 shot attempts in 4 of the last 6 games for Gordon Hayward. So no LaMelo. I mean, we have a little bit of sample size we can go back and look at. Was it 2 months ago-ish? So we have a little bit of sample size to go off of. PJ Washington potentially being out as well. We'll take Cody Martin. We'll take Cody Martin, Ball, and Washington off the floor for everybody really quick and run that through Court IQ. I mean, Terry Rozier, 32.1% usage rate, 1.1 fantasy points per minute. I mean, the fantasy point per minute, not fantastic, but the usage is there for the price. Kelly Oubre, 30.4% usage rate, averaging right under a fantasy point per minute. So Hayward gets a 6% usage bump, Oubre 4%, and then Terry Rozier 5.7. So, I mean, LaMelo being off the floor, LaMelo's a huge guy when it comes to usage, and with Washington doubtful, I think you could keep taking shots on Hayward. My only concern is this game staying close. Dennis Smith Jr. at 5,100 is a value play that I think is in the mix today. There's a lot of back-to-backs. There's going to be a lot of news. So I'm going to say in the mix as of right now for Dennis Smith Jr. So talk to me here about Charlotte.
Yeah, have to be interested in this situation. Tough matchup against Phoenix, but with LaMelo out, everybody's underpriced here. Rozier is definitely the priority as the leader in usage. Like the Hayward call a lot. Oubre is really interesting. Saw him get up to 28 minutes. You mentioned how big of his role was prior to his injury during that LaMelo missing time earlier in the season. So Oubre at 6,500 is very interesting. Mark Williams, the price is coming up, but dude just keeps getting double doubles at this point. 6,300. I don't hate going to him. And then the starting lineup will be interesting. Like they have been reluctant in the past to start Rozier and DSJ together. So I could see DSJ staying off the bench and somebody like McGowan's jumping into the lineup. He's not a big usage guy, even though he's minimum price. We probably don't want to play him. But DSJ could certainly still get there, even if he gets like 28 minutes off the bench or something. Certainly interesting. But overall, like just a tough matchup, but everybody's underpriced for sure.
Chicago at Detroit. No total in this game. I would assume that Chicago's a pretty big favorite in this one. Chicago is on the second end of a back-to-back. Detroit will be without Cunningham, without Duren, without Livers, without Noel, and without Stewart. So there you go. Bogdanovich is probable, though. I think he sat the other night, right? Pretty sure he sat the other night.
He did.
So,
yep.
So, I mean, the Chicago side of this game, I mean, they play their guys on second end of back-to-backs pretty much all season. So I think we'll see a pretty normal Chicago lineup here. Detroit's actively trying to lose basketball games. They have no interest in winning at all. So, I mean, looking at really quick before we get into this, but looking at BetMGM and DraftKings, you can get this at -5 right now, Chicago. I like that. Even with Chicago on the back-to-back. Detroit is literally trying to actively lose games. Bulls. DeRozan 79 in a fantastic matchup against Detroit. Levine is 86. Vooch is 90. Like they're priced up a little bit here. The price is always the biggest thing when it comes to the Chicago Bulls. They're coming off of a tough loss against Toronto. We didn't really see anybody do anything. I mean, DeRozan, I think he had 18 fantasy points. Yeah, he just had a terrible game. So maybe a bounce back for him. Patrick Beverley played 29 minutes. He's really cheap. What are your thoughts on your Chicago Bulls?
Yeah, it's tough times in Chicago now for the Bulls. They've been real bad all season long, so it's difficult. DeRozan being the cheapest, I think, is where I go first. I am going to have some interest in the Detroit bigs. Like that situation is still very interesting, even with Bogdanovich coming back. So I might be looking for a run back here. I think it's DeRozan first, ahead of Levine. No real conviction there, though. I definitely would put DeRozan or Levine ahead of Vooch because I don't necessarily want to play two bigs from the same game. But I don't know. DeRozan has had a tough, month or so. He just hasn't been quite right. He was dealing with that hip injury over the All-Star break. Haven't really seen it from him lately, but him being $700 cheaper than Levine, I don't know, slight lean to DeRozan over Levine. Not really interested in going deeper on the Chicago team. Io is really cheap, but with Beverly there, you probably can't do that. Beverly doesn't produce enough per minute to want to go there. Good matchup against Detroit, but this Chicago team is it's tough to play.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm playing anybody, it's probably DeRozan, just because he's under 8K. Yeah. It's a 9-game slate, and he was terrible on Tuesday. So hopefully, like a nice little bounce back spot for him. Detroit, I mean, how do you not like Bagley? I mean, 4,900. The matchup's not fantastic, but this guy is absolutely crushing here. He's getting up his shots. He's rebounding at a high rate. Like the minutes are the biggest concern. They want to play Wiseman, it seems like, and Wiseman's 4,800. I don't know if I touch the guards or the wings or any of that situation at all. Maybe Hayes, because he is the guy that has a little bit of upside, but I mean, I think I'm looking at Wiseman and Bagley. And then I guess, like I said, I think you could potentially look at Hayes or Burks, but it's really going to depend on like what opens up throughout the day.
Yeah, completely agree with you. Bagley and Wiseman are the priorities here. Wouldn't play them together because they have not shared the court at all. It's like they're going to split the 48 minutes. They're both huge per minute producers. So I would certainly make a 0-1 group, limit one per lineup on those guys, but I'm highly interested in both of them. Bogdanovich coming back makes it tough to play the rest of these guys. Like Burks up to 4,300 now. He was 3,500 when he was massive chalk on Monday. Hayes' price has come up, so not too interested in the guard situation here in Detroit, but Bagley and Wiseman definitely going to be a part of the pool.
It's kind of where I'm at. I think I don't honestly hate playing Bagley and Wiseman together. Usually a situation that I would avoid because they're kind of sharing the minutes, but they both produce at such a high rate per minute. And like maybe you limit them now because Wiseman's price went up. Maybe that's the reason you limit them.
Yeah.
But
if it was a smaller slate, I would agree. Like they could both totally put up like 30 a piece or whatever. Yeah. But because it's such a big slate, that's the reason I think I'm limiting them today. And they're not 3,500 anymore. Like you said, they're now almost 5K. So that does play into it as well.
The prices come up. Cleveland at Boston, no total in this game. And I was like, why? I still don't know why. Gallinari's out. Muscala is questionable. And then on the Cavs side, I mean, Kevin Love is probable. Kyle Lowry's out. And Yurt Seven's out. Max Struss is questionable. Max Struss, no line in this game because Max Struss is questionable.
You're looking at it's Cleveland, right? Boston, Cleveland.
Oh my gosh, what am I looking at? Cleveland and Boston.
You got thrown off by Kevin Love, I think.
Oh, I did. So nobody even on the injury report for Cleveland.
Yeah, I don't know why there's no line. Jaylen Brown coming back, maybe.
Why
But
did that like on my sheet that it mixed them up? My bad.
right.
Good call. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why there's no total in this game because really the only guy questionable in this game is Mike Muscala. So no total in this game. Who knows? No teams on back to backs. We got two of the better teams in the East. What are your thoughts here in Cleveland?
Yeah, this game overall is tough. We've got two healthy teams, two teams that play amazing defense, two teams that play really slow. 9-game slate. I can't find a reason to want to play any of these Cleveland guys. I guess Donovan Mitchell for a ceiling, if you want to go there. I'm probably not chasing that against Boston with somebody like Marcus Smart on the other side. I don't know. Do you? I don't really have any interest in Cleveland whatsoever. They're priced appropriately. It's a really difficult matchup. One of the games I'm probably avoiding on the slate.
Both sides, right? Like
Yep.
Boston and Cleveland, they don't like to play fast. They both like to play defense. I mean, Cleveland third in defensive rating, Celtics fourth. Cleveland slowest pace team in the NBA, and Boston 17th. So like pricing, like there's nothing that like says, hey, I have to play anybody from this game to me.
Right. And then Jaylen Brown coming back on the Boston side.
Yeah.
So you've got Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon priced up for Brown being out.
Yeah.
Just it's not a very appealing game at all.
The only way I think you get to this game on a 9-game slate is if you're building like 150 and you're like, hey, I'm going to make 5 teams of like game stacks of Cleveland, Boston, hoping that it's just a really competitive game and the Stars come out and do their thing in a really close, type of game that has like OT potential. Because I mean, it should be a really competitive game. It's just, I think maybe less than 5% does this game hit.
Yeah.
So I just, on a 9-game slate, I just don't see. I see nothing, so I'm with you. We're on the same page with this one. Philadelphia at Miami. Hey, Miami. I won't mess it up this time, right? I don't know why my sheet did that, but anyway, another game, pretty low total, 215.5. 76ers a 1.5 point favorite in this one. I already kind of said it on the Miami side, Kyle Lowry's out, Struss is questionable. On the Philadelphia side, Dedmon is out. We'll go Philly first. Tough matchup for Embiid. This is a really tough matchup. Miami is one of the toughest teams in the league against centers. We just saw this matchup 2 days ago. Embiid put up 45.5 fantasy points, and like his line wasn't even that bad, right? Shot 59% from the field. He had 12 rebounds. He had 27 points. He played 34 minutes. It just wasn't like it's such a tough team to have a huge ceiling against, even for like James Harden. I mean, I think this is a spot even again, like I'm probably staying away from Philly outside of maybe taking some shots on like a Maxey.
Yeah, this game is very similar to the last one. Two slow teams that play good defense. Probably the 4 best teams in the Eastern Conference at this point. Yeah, I mean, we just saw the matchup. Embiid struggled. Harden did okay. Paid off his price tag in the last one. He was 9,800. Now it's up to 10.3. I don't know that I'm going back to Harden, especially not on a 9-game slate. He was useful on that 4-game slate Monday, I believe. But yeah, this game's just very similar to the last one. Everyone's priced appropriately. Not the best game environment. Low total, slow pace. Harden's price coming up probably leaves me off of Philly altogether.
Yeah, like I said, I think Maxey is okay for large field tournament stuff. Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, even on the Miami side, I mean, you could take some shots here on Jimmy Butler, I think, with no Kyle Lowry. Like we saw him put up 58 fantasy points, but if he's going to be someone that like gets ownership because he just had a monster game against his team, easy stay away spot for me. Tough matchup for Bam. I don't want to play him. I don't like this matchup for Tyler Hero. I just, again, like one of those games where Miami and Philadelphia are 2 of the bottom 6 teams in pace and both top 7 teams in defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did this game score 2 nights ago? 200 points, right? It was
200
99,
total.
101. Yeah.
Yep.
So like, it's just not even on a 4-game slate. Sure, we're talking about this game way more. On a 9-game slate, it's just a game that I'm hoping doesn't go bonkers.
Yeah, right there with you. I actually played quite a bit of Jimmy because he was really low owned on that 4-game slate. Worked out that time. I think I'm cashing out. I'm all set here. Like 9-game slate. I don't need to take that chance on this slate. Worked out for me on the last one. I think Kevin Love would be my target on Miami if I had to pick somebody. 5,600. We know he can produce huge per minute. If he starts again and runs into 28 minutes, he could absolutely smash at 5,600, even in a tough matchup. But even that's not something I'm necessarily prioritizing.
I think that's kind of where I'm at, man. We move on. We got the Nets and the Knicks, 222 total, anywhere from like 221 to 222.5. So I'll say 222. Everywhere Knicks -7 in this game. Might not be enough. Brooklyn's on the second end of a back-to-back. The Knicks are good to go. No one on the injury report for them. Ben Simmons did not play Tuesday. He's already been ruled out for Wednesday as well. So that's, good to know. We'll go Brooklyn first. I mean, they're like getting into that range of like Sacramento, or not Sacramento, San Antonio, and like OKC, just not knowing who or when or what to play. We kind of talked about it at the top of the show. Dinwiddie had a big game. Bridges continues to chuck. Cam Johnson had a good game. Claxton had a decent game. The rotation was smaller. I think that's something to kind of note. We saw a smaller rotation. Guys played more minutes. Do they do that on the second end of a back-to-back? Maybe. Bridges, I think, is the main target here. Hate shooters on the second end of a back-to-back. But if he's going to continue to put up 18 to 20 shots a night at 7,500 or 7,400, I think we just have to look at him. He's rebounding. He has defensive upside. He's a guy that can fill the stat sheet. So Bridges would be my favorite. The Knicks have struggled against point guards. Can Dinwiddie have a back-to-back, decent game? He made 5 threes. I don't want to get into, I'm playing a lot of Dinwiddie. He shot the ball really well from behind the arc. 5 threes. Like, he hasn't made 5 threes since January 28th. So pumping the brakes a little bit on Dinwiddie. I would much rather play Bridges. Don't mind Cam Johnson at 5,300. What are your thoughts on the Nets?
Yeah, I agree. It's Bridges over Dinwiddie for me. He feels like he's going to be the leader in usage on this team as constructed. Price tag is probably about where it should be in this matchup with the Knicks. Another slower pace game. Like, neither one of these teams is going to push the pace. So Bridges is the target. I don't know that I'm messing with Dinwiddie. Maybe some shots on Claxton. We saw Cam Johnson shoot pretty well. He's 5,300 if you want to take some shots there or need somebody in the 5K range. Him or Cam Thomas do. Both of those guys can make a couple of threes and pay off a 5K price tag. But not a game environment I love. A little bit of Bridges. That's about it for me.
The Knicks side, everyone kind of healthy here. I think it's tough. I think Barrett, large field tournaments, those nights that he shoots the ball really well. He has upside at 5,800. Josh Hart has shown a little bit of upside. Everyone's kind of healthy and everyone's kind of playing. The other night, we talked about Mitch Robb against Boston. He's still probably too cheap, especially for a matchup against Brooklyn. So maybe it's Mitch Robb and some Barrett. I don't know how much like Randall or Brunson I play here. The matchup's not bad. It's just everyone's healthy. We've seen Randall's usage go down, and the price is slowly going down. That's all I got here on the net or the Knicks side.
Yeah, Brunson just not hitting that ceiling that we saw for so long there from him. So it'd be Randall over Brunson for me if I'm paying up and looking for a ceiling. I think it's Josh Hart over Barrett for me. Yes, Barrett could get hot shooting, but Hart can do it in a bunch of different ways. So I think I would lean to Josh Hart there in that. He's a little bit cheaper as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough with Hart kind of limiting Barrett's ceiling a little bit. Seems to be taking away from Brunson. So I'm not real interested in this Knicks team either. I will have a little exposure to Randall just because he can drop 60 fantasy points and be the guy that you need, but that's about all I'm interested in here for the Knicks.
Lakers at Thunder. What a fantastic basketball game. No total, no line out, no injury report. Got both teams on the back-to-back. We know, like, we have an idea, like, LeBron's going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. We know that he's likely not going to play in this game. They did say that, like, Russell is doubtful as well. I mean, does Anthony Davis play in the second end of a back-to-back? So many question marks.
So I was actually watching this game earlier, and the beat reporter did come on and say Davis would play on the second half of a back-to-back. So we can include him, I think. Yep.
Okay. Good little note. Kyrie just had a chance to tie the game and got blocked, it looked like. Anyway, Lakers coming off of a tough loss against Memphis. This is a completely different matchup for this team. Memphis, a good defensive team, second in defensive rating. They play really fast, where the Lakers play really fast as well. The Thunder play just as fast as the Lakers. The biggest difference is, like, the Thunder, I think they're like 13th or 12th in defensive rating, and they're missing some guys here. So assuming that, like, SGA doesn't play, it doesn't sound like he's going to play. I think it was health and safety protocols. Yeah, so they did say he's going to be out as well. So, all right, so we know SGA's out. We know LeBron's out. We assume Russell's out. I assume everybody else plays. Lakers first. I mean, Anthony Davis, top end type of play if he's in the lineup today. Schroeder, I think, is a fantastic play. After that, I mean, we'll see what the ownership looks like. Some of these Lakers had really good games. You were talking about it. Reeves and Lonnie Walker. Lonnie Walker only played 22 minutes. I still like the idea of getting Malik Beasley instead of taking shots on, like, Walker. I think Reeves, I talked about him on the podcast yesterday. I think Reeves continues to play solid minutes. What are your thoughts on the Lakers?
Yeah, I think this might be the most interesting spot on the slate. With SGA out on the other side, the Lakers situation being as shorthanded as they are, we just saw it, and everybody's going to flock to exactly what happened on Wednesday night or Tuesday night, right? What day is it? I don't know. Tuesday night, yeah. So I think you're going to see some ownership on guys like Lonnie Walker and Austin Reeves, and it's going to leave guys like Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt under-owned. I think both, like, going back, even though they failed on Tuesday night, going right back to them tonight is a fantastic idea. Good matchup against OKC, like you were talking about. Schroeder didn't necessarily fail, but he wasn't fantastic. I'll be loading up on Schroeder for sure at 5,400. I think AD is a phenomenal spend up. Oklahoma City is infamous for struggling against bigs, so just a fantastic spot here for Anthony Davis. I will have a ton of exposure to the Lakers. Don't get me wrong, I'll still play some guys like Reeves and Walker, but I think assuming that the exact same thing that happened Tuesday night is going to happen tonight is a mistake that the field will make, and that should leave Vanderbilt and Beasley a little bit lower owned than they should be.
It's kind of where I'm at. Gosh, the Thunder, such a tough team to figure out too. I don't know what to think here. I mean, you're just playing the pace of this game. I mean, who knows? Dario Saric played 27 minutes at 3,200. I think, like, even Kendrick Williams, he got into some foul trouble. He still played 29 minutes. So I have no idea what Josh Giddey, was he just playing bad? Were they just doing well? Josh Giddey was minus 32 today in this game, and Dort was minus 28. So did they just get benched because they were playing terrible? I mean, they did not play well. I don't know what to do. They played 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 guys, and no one played over 30 minutes. Tough.
Wow,
one of the toughest.
Yeah, Giddey and Dort, 19 minutes for Giddey and 21 for Dort, and it was a close game too. It's not like it was a blowout here. So, wow, on the Thunder rotation, we thought Giddey and Dort were kind of the safe guys in the Thunder rotation. That's something to take in there for sure.
I mean, one of my favorite plays was Isaiah Joe, and he only played like 22 minutes.
Yep.
Out of nowhere. Like, this is a guy that has been playing big minutes here recently, and he just didn't play. I wonder, like, I didn't watch the game. I'm sorry, I did not watch a Kings Thunder game. I wonder, like, when I'm looking through a game flow of this game and stuff, I wonder if, like, the second unit, looking at, like, Jalen Williams, Sarge, and, like, these guys having big games, I wonder if the second unit just got hot and the coaches just left him in there. So I have no other guess. If someone in YouTube chat, what's up, YouTube chat? Someone in YouTube chat watched this game. First of all, why'd you watch this game? Second of all, maybe they can shine light on it a little bit. But I would assume that, like, Dario Sarge getting 27 minutes is just, this is a guy that hadn't played more than 15 minutes. Yeah, I don't know. I like Dario Sarge. When he's getting minutes, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Who do they play at center in this game? Against
Kenrich has been playing
Davis.
a little. Yeah, Jalen Williams with a Y should probably start. Like, are they going to run Sarge out there? I don't know. I haven't looked at the game flow from Tuesday night. Did Sarge play the 5 or the 4? Do you know?
I don't know. I'm assuming Robinson Earl played the 5 for his 20 minutes.
For sure. Yeah, and Jalen Williams played 17, so that's 48 right there. So Sarge played the 4. Interesting.
Anthony Davis no one is stopping Anthony Davis in this game.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Load up on Anthony Davis for sure.
As far as the Thunder, I'm going to look at ownership. I'm just going to play the ownership game because there's no rhyme or reason for any of these guys. It's a fast-paced matchup. Like
Jalen Williams went nuts with Jalen with an EN instead of the Y. He's the same price as he was. He's probably going to get ownership over Dort at 5,100. Give me Lou Dort. I mean, like, historically, he's the biggest benefactor when SGA is off the court. If people are scared because he only played 21 minutes in Tuesday night's game, and he comes in at like 10% or something crazy like that, I'm happy to go right back to him.
Tell him, Keith, scare money don't make money.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to play the ownership game here. Like, if people are just off of Gideon Dort, go back. And I don't think that Jalen Williams is a bad play. His minutes have been uber consistent. This is a fantastic matchup, back and forth, very fast-paced game. So I don't think, like, Jalen Williams is necessarily a bad play. You get him multi-position eligibility, which is always nice. I don't think he's a bad play by any means. So, I mean, gosh, man, like I said, Isaiah Joe is one of my favorite plays. Don't know. I'll be looking at
go right
the game
back to
flow.
Joe.
Yeah, I would have no issues going back to Joe.
Yeah.
I'm so curious if, like, the second unit just got hot and they just didn't bring these guys back. So it's the only thing that makes any kind of sense to me. But it's the Thunder. They're not supposed to make sense. Just saying. All right. We're cruising along. We got my Orlando Magic heading into Milwaukee to take on the Bucks. No total for this game. DraftKings has Bucks minus 9.5. Bucks second end of a back-to-back. Orlando, Jonathan Isaac is questionable. It's a hamstring. I think they're going to be very, very careful with him. I don't think the Magic are playing for anything this year, and I think they just want to kind of get Isaac back on the court and really have him full-time next year. But anyway, Magic first, not the greatest matchup in the world, going up against Milwaukee. I talked about this in the expert survey, I think it was Monday, about just how spread out, and no one is just really, like, everyone is, I think there's 5 guys for the Magic averaging over 0.8 fantasy points per minute, and none of them are averaging more than like 1.12 or something. It's very spread out, and in DFS, it's not what we want to target. I mean, I think Paulo would be the high upside guy if you're playing anybody from the Magic. Wendell Carter's price is coming up a little bit. I think Paulo's the play if I'm playing anybody from the Magic, but I don't think this is a spot I'll end up playing anybody from the Magic.
Yeah, unless Milwaukee ends up resting like an absolute ton of guys. Like I would not be surprised at all if Giannis sits in this one. He dealt with the wrist injury and then he had the hip, I
Middleton,
think
right?
was.
Like you would think Middleton maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see Milwaukee resting some guys. So unless they're just like punting this game and resting like everyone but Drew, basically, maybe Drew and Brook play and they figure they can beat Orlando with just those two guys. Then maybe I have more interest in this Orlando side. But I agree with you. Like the rotation's spread out. It's hard to find a ceiling here. I think Fultz might be my lean at 6 just because he's a little bit cheaper than Paolo. So I don't hate that. Jalen Suggs is really cheap as well, 3,900. I don't know. You might be able. It depends on what other kind of value opens up. Like if we get a bunch of value from back-to-back teams resting, then no chance he's in play. But if a lot of teams are rolling out full rosters, then maybe you look at somebody like Suggs for some value. But I think Fultz would be my preferred Magic if I had to pick one.
Going to the Milwaukee side, I think it'd be really interesting. I just don't see there's no way Middleton plays this game. No way. I mean, maybe. I think it's very, very unlikely. It will be interesting to see if like Giannis plays, like you said, it was like a quad and a wrist.
Yeah.
So and like he only played 28 minutes. Like they didn't play anybody over 30 minutes on Tuesday night against Brooklyn. So I mean that's something to kind of keep in the back of your mind. If anybody starts sitting, I mean, it's going to open up stuff. If Giannis sits, it opens up Drew. If Middleton sits, it potentially opens up Pat Connaughton, who's kind of priced up a little bit at 4,900. If everyone starts sitting, Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, these guys, like it really is a game of who's in and who's out. If everyone plays for some odd reason, I mean, I'm probably not playing anybody.
Yeah, I agree with you. If Giannis and Middleton play, I probably don't have any interest at all. I think it would be a blowout, and I think they go easy on them. No interest. If a bunch of guys end up sitting, I might have the most exposure of the entire slate on this Milwaukee team, with some key pieces resting. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. Yeah, I don't know. Really, not much else to add other than that. Probably not playing it if everybody's in. Probably playing a ton of it if a lot of people are sitting.
Funny how this works, but I mean, that's how it works. Houston or Memphis at Houston, no total in this game. Both teams on a back-to-back. Yeah, I mean, we told you guys this is how this slate's going to go.
Yeah.
Kind of expect Steven Adams to be out again. And then Kevin Porter Jr. said the report was they're confident he plays Wednesday. They sat him Tuesday, confident he plays Wednesday. I mean, something to note. Tough matchup against Memphis. Memphis side first. John Morant, 9,900 against the team that allows the most fantasy points per game against opposing point guards. John Morant put up 73 fantasy points against this team earlier this year. I mean, I think he has to be at the top of the list on the 9-game slate as far as like overall ceiling.
Yeah, absolutely. Only thing you're worried about here is the blowout. If Kevin Porter Jr. can make it back for this game, I think that lessens it a little bit. Memphis will still be highly favored. But yeah, Ja is the ceiling play for sure. Definitely don't mind shots on Desmond Bane. Houston has struggled against three-pointers all season long. I know this because I wrote up the Lillard three-point thing before he went off for 71 points against this team, made like 13 threes, I believe it was. So keep an eye on Desmond Bane. He should have plenty of open looks from deep. You can really play anyone on this Memphis team. Triple J, not somebody I love to play, but he could certainly find a ceiling here. The bigs with Adams still out, you could take a shot on somebody like Xavier Tillman. Definitely interested in this Memphis team. Probably even more so interested in Memphis if KPJ plays.
Sounds like he's going to. Everything I just read really quick, but I like Ja. I like Ja a lot in this game. On the Houston side, gosh, Kevin Porter Jr. being out definitely throws a wrench into things. I mean, usage taken away from Jalen Green, usage taken away from Sengun, usage taken away from like Jabari Smith. I don't love Houston. I really don't. I think this is one of those spots with Kevin Porter Jr. coming back. Maybe I'm looking at like Jalen Green at 65 just for pure ceiling, but overall, I don't have a ton of interest. I know I probably should, but Memphis is such a good defensive team that I don't think I have to play anybody from Houston even if I'm playing John Morant in this game.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, as weird as it is to say, but KPJ coming back like just ruins the pricing here, because we know he's gonna have a high usage role that takes away from guys like Şengün and Green, like you just mentioned. So I think the one guy I have some interest in is Tari Eason. He's still only 4,100, and he's been looking really good here, producing a bunch per minute. He played 31 minutes on Tuesday night and had a fantastic game. I don't think Kevin Porter coming back impacts him all that much. It's really just the big rotation that we have to worry about. And it looks like they're willing to give Tari Eason some longer looks. Early in the season, he was still producing per minute, but he was limited to like 20, 22 minutes. Now, if he's going to play upwards of 30 minutes, I definitely have some interest there.
Shout out to TJ. TJ was on Eason on the podcast yesterday. Yeah. Shout out to him. He was on somebody else that had a really good game too. I don't remember who it was. It's going to drive me crazy. I don't remember now. I'll remember here in a minute, I'm sure. But all right, we finish it out with New Orleans at Portland. Portland would be on the second end of a back-to-back. On the New Orleans side, Alvarado is out. Little is out. Nance is out. Richardson is questionable. Valanciunas is questionable. Williamson remains out. Whew, a lot to get through there. It's driving me crazy. Do you know, like, doesn't that drive you crazy? Oh, it was Bassey. He had an interest in Bassey on the podcast yesterday, and he's having a good game.
Thanks.
Anyway, all right. Shout out TJ. Solid stuff. All right. A lot of injuries, a lot of things going on here. New Orleans first. What the heck? I think that one of the biggest things here is Valanciunas being in or out. Because if Valanciunas were to sit, like, we could potentially see Hernan Gomez start at 3,800. And we know the type of point per minute producer Hernan Gomez is. So if Valanciunas sits, I have a ton of interest in this game because I can take shots on like Herb Jones. I can take shots on Hernan Gomez. I can run it back with Dame. I kind of like this spot. If some of these question marks turn to out, like Richardson sits too, Alvarado's already out. Like, we're going to get some cheap guard, exposure here with maybe like a Murphy type of play or a Daniels type of play. You don't love it, but I think it's really interesting how New Orleans approaches this if we get news that like Valanciunas and Richardson sits on top of Alvarado already being out.
I just looked up the game flow because I played some Hernan Gomez on that short, I think it was a 4-game slate Monday night, and he caught a DNP. So that did not work out well. But I think
if he's starting, you have to have Valanciunas out.
Yeah, definitely. And he needs to be starting. I'm trying to look and see who subbed in for Valanciunas, and it looks like it was like Trey Murphy in the first half. Jackson Hayes is the guy. So yeah, I mean, I think you can look at Jackson Hayes as well if Valanciunas is out. But yeah, Hernan Gomez is certainly a better per minute producer. Hayes is pretty good himself, but Hernan Gomez is definitely the better of the two. But if Valanciunas sits,
I think he has to start. I'm with you. I think that Hernan Gomez has to start.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. 20 minutes off the bench at 3,800, depending on what other values.
Crush. Give that dude 20 minutes. He's smashing. He's putting him 35. I kind of
agree. Points. So, if Valanciunas is out, you can certainly play Hernan Gomez. No doubt about it.
His ownership would definitely be lower too if he doesn't start.
Yeah, for sure, because people would be worried about the DNP again. Mm-hmm. The rest of the Pelicans here, I think Ingram still has a very playable price tag. Portland is a pretty good matchup here. McCollum just has not been finding a ceiling recently, so definitely leaning Ingram over McCollum. if JoVal's in, I don't have near as much interest in this team. It would probably be just Ingram for me. But JoVal out, we can get to all kinds of plays here. We talked about the bigs already, but Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, even Najee Marshall, I think absolutely in play. So just depending on how the injury stuff shakes out here, I will have varying degrees of Pelicans, but certainly some, no matter what.
All right. Portland. I mean, again, I said it yesterday, and maybe that's the reason we take some shots on McCollum here, facing his old team, facing Dame. Maybe he gets up for this game. Maybe he gets a few extra shots up in this game, even though that really hasn't been helping him recently. Dame's playing aside like Sharp and Watford and Thibault, Reddish, Eubanks. The usage is just monstrous right now. Until some of these guys start coming back, assuming that like these guys are going to be out again for Portland, Nurkic and Simons and stuff. Yeah, it's hard to say like we're not taking Lillard here.
Yeah.
He put up 19 actual points in the first half against the Warriors, and they're beating the Warriors by like 17 right now at halftime.
Yeah, crazy stuff. I mean, and Dame, like he's basically on pace for 40 again. Like he's just consistently putting up 40 points a night, with upside for 70. Like it's just insane the usage that this guy has had, especially with Simons out, Nurkic as well. So yeah, give me some Dame for sure. Like there's no price tag that would talk me off of him. Going down the like it's hard with Dame taking this many shots. I still think Cam Reddish is in play. 4,500. We've seen him kind of be that secondary scorer at times. His best game was with Jeremy Grant off the floor as well, but I'd rather pay down for Reddish at 4,500 than go to someone like Grant, I think, just because Dame is shooting so much. Eubanks in play at 4,400 as a guy who can produce quite a bit. I don't know. The rest of them are pretty tough. Thibault, I think, is having a pretty decent game tonight. He's 3,700. He's not going to score much, but he can certainly fill a stat sheet. Yeah, I mean, there's opportunities here. This again just kind of depends on what the teams on back-to-backs do. If we're starved for value, this Portland team is going to look pretty good. Guys like Thibault, Eubanks, Little, all could be grading out decently. But if we get rest situations, then they probably aren't going to be in play at all.
Oh man. Fun stuff, right? So I was reading really quick on Hernan Gomez, like that whole situation. It looks like he should, if Valanciunas is out, he should play. He got run the other night when Larry Nance got hurt. So I'm assuming that with Nance already out, if Valanciunas sits too, that's where Hernan Gomez would just you would think they'd have to play him here. Yeah, just throwing it out there. That's it. Let's play the morning grind game, and then we will get out of here. Favorite play under 5,000 to go 7x. Who do you got today?
You mentioned Austin Reeves and his minutes being solid. I agree with you. There's plenty of opportunities on this Lakers team. AD's obviously going to get his, but Austin Reeves should have plenty of shots available. Should see 30 plus minutes, 3,800 against OKC. I'll take Austin Reeves.
I like that. Man, I think I'm going back to the well. I said this. I'm pretty sure I said this guy yesterday. Give me Malik Beasley. Burned me. Go right back to it. Like that when you're playing DFS, short memory. Yep. Over 8K to go under 5X. Who's your bust today?
Give me Tatum up to 10-6. He's got Jaylen Brown coming back and the toughest matchup in basketball against Cleveland.
I mean, I said this guy Monday, and I'm going to say it again. I'm going to go Bam. Tough matchup against Philadelphia. No Bam for me today. Price is 82 is nice. Hopefully he has another dud and we can take advantage of him next game. Favorites 6X play today. Who do you got?
Terry Rozier, no LaMelo Ball, 7,200. Tough matchup against Phoenix, but dude should put up somewhere near 35% usage. Too cheap at 7,200 for this role.
I like it. That's who I was going to pick. Give me Mikal Bridges from Brooklyn, 7,400. He's chucking. He's getting buckets.
I love that.
Let's get weird. GPP play of the day. Who do you got?
I'm looking at Phoenix. Kevin Durant making his debut. Nobody is going to play Devin Booker. Booker can still get hot shooting the ball. 8,900 is a price tag. I think he can pay off even playing next to Kevin Durant in this fast-paced matchup with Charlotte. I don't think anybody's going to play him. I'll take a couple shots in this awesome matchup if he's like 5% owned.
I'm going to go Hernan Gomez. I hope he doesn't start. I hope Valanciunas sits and Hernan Gomez doesn't start, and he gets like 18 minutes and puts up 55 fantasy points. Yeah, I mean, I like Hernan Gomez. Listen, if Valanciunas plays, I'm probably not playing him. I'm just saying. I think this is a really good spot for him if Valanciunas sits. So, and it sounds like Valanciunas is very questionable. So we'll see. It's like a left calf. So, anyway, gosh, man, give us Valanciunas. Give us one day off. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, Keith?
No, a lot of teams on back-to-backs. So definitely, as always, pay attention to the injury report. But we could see some crazy shenanigans. We're getting into that part of the NBA season where it's going to be a daily grind of we have no idea what's going to happen by the time lock rolls around. But it'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, it's that time of the year where like I don't mess with props until like 15 minutes before the slate. And like I like getting early lines and stuff, but yeah, I don't mess with it. For what it's worth, I like Suns minus 9.5 on BetMGM, and I like Chicago Bulls minus 5.5 on DraftKings for today's slate. That's going to wrap it up here for Wednesday. We'll be back tomorrow talking some more hoops. Small slate tomorrow. We've had some back-to-back action-packed slates. Man, I'm tired. We'll be back tomorrow. Hope everyone has a fantastic Wednesday. We'll see you then.